This is a very important video to not only watch but to understand. This particular video is going to be comparing capacity factors for each of our renewables. I've mentioned the term capacity factor in previous videos, but I want to define it perhaps more clearly here. Capacity factor is going to be defined as the efficiency of an energy source. Now, when we talk about a wind turbine or a solar panel, we can talk about the potential energy that source would create, but we can also talk about the actual energy that source could create. The potential energy is the energy that it would create if it ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 12 months out of the year. That's its potential. But because the sun doesn't shine 24 hours and the wind doesn't blow 24 hours, it can't reach its potential. It just can't reach its potential. And so we need to understand what its actual production is. That would be considered its capacity factor. A capacity factor is going to be calculated simply by taking the amount of energy that a wind turbine would generate in an year divided by the total amount that it could generate if it ran at full capacity. In the United States, certain parts of the country have greater wind than other parts, so the capacity factor would be greater. The typical wind farm in the United States might have a capacity factor of 25%. Now, clearly, you can have a greater capacity factor or a lesser, but an average capacity factor would be about 25%. So let's assume that we have a very large wind turbine. Its potential is 1 megawatt of electricity every hour. Now, since there's 8,760 hours in a year, its potential is to generate 8,760 megawatts hours of electricity per year. But remember, capacity factor, it's very important. This particular wind turbine is an average location in the United States with a capacity factor of 25%, so its actual output is 2,190 megawatt hours of electricity per year. I want you to look at this picture. This looks like something out of a science fiction book, but this place really exists in the United States. Actually, there are 9 of these located in the Mojave Desert. It's the sunniest, hottest place on the planet. And the United States has developed these solar generating projects. There's 9 of them, and they have nearly 1 million solar panels, and they have a potential of generating massive amount of electricity. Combined, these plants have a combined installed capacity of 354 megawatts of electricity. Now, that's per hour. Since there's 8,760 hours in the year, these solar plants could produce over 3 million megawatt hours of electricity a year. That would be enough electricity to power huge portions of the part of the United States where these power plants are. But keep in mind capacity factor. Even in this area in the Mojave Desert, the sun will only generate power 21% of the time. So let's factor in the capacity factor here. 3 million megawatt hours potential with a capacity factor of 21%. The actual electricity that's produced is around 651,000 megawatt hours of electricity a year. Capacity factors are very important, and I'm telling you, especially as we hear things from people that have clear biases about renewable energy, very often they will miss talking about capacity factors, and to somebody that doesn't understand it, it might go unnoticed. Let me give you a great example. This is a newspaper article that ran in Germany, and here's what the headline says. It says, Germany produces half of its energy with solar. And I'm not sure if you've heard, but I've heard from time to time that the Europeans are way farther down the road in developing renewable energy sources than the United States. And I've heard statements like this: half of the energy is coming from wind or from this or for that. Let's read just a part of this article, though, and see if you can pick up anything about capacity factor. It says this: Germany has set a new record with solar power, providing 50.5% of its electricity in the middle of the day on Monday, June 9th. Solar production peaked that day at 23.1 gigawatts. 3 days earlier, it was 24.2 gigawatts between 1 and 2 p.m. Then let's look at the quote. And this quote is attributed to an expert for renewable energies. And here's what he says: German solar demonstrated just what it's capable of in the first 2 weeks of June. He added, I think we could break a new record every 2 or 3 months now. We're installing more and more PV solar panels. A great story, and unless you're understanding everything that's going on there, all the moving parts, you might come away thinking, holy cow, 50% of their electricity is coming from solar. But here's the real truth. 50% of their electricity only lasted for 2 hours. Throughout that entire day, only 20% of their electricity came from solar. During the entire month, it was only 12%. Now let's talk about the entire year. During the entire year, only 4.6% of the electricity in Germany came from solar.